it was announced that the star Betelgeuse, which you've probably all seen, it's the bright red star on top of the Orion constellation, it had started to dim abnormally, or what was thought to be abnormally. And it was reported that there was going to be a supernova potentially within our lifetimes, which is something I've always really wanted to see. It turned out that this is just part of a regular stellar cycle. Betelgeuse will not be going nova in our lifetimes, as far as we know. It's still a potential, but and that filled me with a sense of awe. So every night I went out and I looked at the star. This is pre-pandemic and during the beginning of the pandemic, and went through a kind of personal emotional ride just contemplating this particular star. And I'll read you the introduction to the book because it'll give you an idea of the kind of emotional roller coaster I went through. When I first heard news of Betelgeuse dimming and potentially going nova within my lifetime, it filled me with tremendous excitement. Every night I would go outside to look at the sky and hope that I would have the privilege of seeing our sky lit up with the splendor of a relatively nearby stellar explosion. While stars are exploding throughout the universe on a regular basis, it is a rare occurrence that we might see one with the naked eye. If Betelgeuse were to explode, it would be a jewel in the night sky for weeks and be visible during the day, nearly as bright as our sun. This excitement brought me out to the yard night after night in hopes of seeing the show, but at the same time, it filled me with an immense guilt. The guilt I felt was the flip side of my prayers to witness the stellar death, because in all likelihood, there are planets orbiting that star. And if there are planets, then there is potentially life. If Betelgeuse were to go nova, it would mean the end of any civilization that may be living in proximity of the star. Not just the planets around the star, but also planets within range of the powerful cosmic rays that the explosion would unleash. While I hoped to see the nova, I realized that I was also reveling in the potential demise of multiple civilizations. And while this would have occurred centuries ago, it couldn't be right for me to wish it so. All throughout my excitement, this guilt plagued me, right up until it was announced that the star's dimming was part of a regular stellar cycle, and that the star in all likelihood would not go nova for millennia to come. When this announcement was made, I was halfway through writing the poem Betelgeuse Dimming. At once, I felt a wave of relief for the people that the nova would have potentially destroyed, and a sadness that I may never have the opportunity to see a nova with my own eyes. It seemed for a moment that the relevance of this poem would be moot since the nova was not imminent, but I realized that the feelings that came up for me those nights of watching the winter wanderer pass by were still powerful. For if life is common in the universe, then so is the frequent destruction of many of those possible civilizations. Such is the cycle of the cosmos' potentiality coming into expression only to be wiped out and become the seeds of the next potential. In many ways, I'm glad that Betelgeuse will remain intact, but I still yearn for the beauty of a nova in my lifetime. So that was my inspiration for writing this poem, and the torn feelings I had about something that would be so resplendent and so gorgeous, yet would also mean ultimate tragedy for potentially multiple civilizations. And in all likelihood, this is something that has wiped out civilizations in the past. They're common enough, but they're also extremely gorgeous. One of the most beautiful things in the universe to see, as we're all familiar with Hubble photographs showing us the remnant of these novas. So last year in, I believe it was February, when I finished writing this book, I got together with a couple of my buddies, Field Collapse and Red, Blue, Black, Silver, and we recorded an album of all the poems in this book. Betelgeuse Dimming is a long 15, 16-page poem, and then there's a few shorter ones in there. But we've made this available for free, and I'm going to go ahead and put in the chat room for you guys a link for the free audiobook, which also comes with an ebook when you download it. It's a pay what you want download, so you're welcome to donate, but just put 0 and you can get everything for free. That's how I intended it, just as a gift during these times where we're not able to see each other in person. There are also paperbacks available, which I will put a link into. If you prefer to read physical books, you can get a copy there. I've put that in the chat as well. So today I'm going to read you guys the title poem. It's quite lengthy. If you get bored, just start waving, stop me. I'll move on to something else. And if there's time, I may share something new, which is part of the next collection I'm working on, which is not titled yet, but the next collection of poetry is all about nuclear bombs, nuclear warfare, and the present threat that we don't talk about much with the Cold War being over. Did the Cold War actually end? Feels like it didn't. But there's still tens of thousands of nuclear bombs out there in the world, and this is something I worry about a lot more than I do stars exploding. So it's political work. It's very anger-filled, and it's to hold accountable the people that have made these bombs and the maniacs that hover over the buttons waiting to destroy us all. At least if a nova took us out, it would be a beautiful death. So Rich, unless you need anything else to happen, I will get into the title poem of this new book.
Go for it, sir.
Betelgeuse dimming. Receiving word of your imminent nova, we await the neutrino flood, signaling your demise as you dim before us, before in time, future colors paint our minds. The night holds new treasures, our constellations change, evenings spent waiting for you to vanish in kaleidoscopic majesty. Centuries of wait, our telescopes trained. Praying for explosions, tears taint my wonder, thinking of your culture lost in the fiery display. Flowers in our sky shines with our sun briefly. Materials of life stripped away so many centuries ago, reduced to headlines, lacking all essence of your unknowable ways, the arts we will never see. The way of all stars takes you before my birth, weeks of light, temporary remains. We may have spoken, we, teething still, during your renaissance. Now we listen and see the wake of your silence. Without having met, we mourn. Nightly, lament the distances. From your star flee, may we meet yet. Were you breaking rocks when telescopes could have warned? The spacefaring know, still gravity hinders. Home becomes burning prison amidst cosmic splendor. Were you witness to others? Feel the same way, beg the contact which could never come, great voids, only growing, slowly growing. If I mourn, as I do early evenings, is it too late for worth? Your parish ancient, fresh. Cosmic rays hold no detail, lost in the noise forever. No more shall you redden the sky, small point of miracle, punctuating the winter wanderer in endless pursuit. Now forgotten your myths, of which we were but a pinprick of light. Watching you fade, billions may have fallen. So many stories, dust sails on the medium. We may have loved each other, or only misunderstood. Dimming, still dimming, only noticing after being told, as if trivial the many. The multitude wiped away, looking, still looking, fearfully excited. Anticipation rise, stomach drop. Your photons arrive alone, careless and random. Seeking the coherence, again, sadness that times seldom align. Signaling us pre-birth, Only aware of visible light in the trees, you thought us non-existent, building our antennae long after signals pass, death planets. Warm tears quickly cool, following the wanderer, blurring the faint point to nothing before its time, before the show of fire, before the end. What signs pointed, fingers outstretched toward oblivion, peering into the expansion as flame nears, atmospheres cast off, seas join sky. A sky blacker without you, larger void. May your rays ignite new material for life. May they stir clouds into order. Dust cloud to dust cloud, memories gone before accretion, energies swirl. Will they carry our past in shrinking ovals until it may speak again? The light still travels, eternal, dissipating, wanting to be noticed, forever leaving the source, forever containing wisdom and folly, undeciphered by us for now. I wish my eye was planets wide, reading entire spectrum, comprehending all forms, blazing information, memories of every sentience working the waves. The same moistened eye, moved by the opposite of desire, limited in ways you could have shown us, uncommon frames of reference, potentially so useful. Those centuries ago, holding each other in the knowing, those who could not escape, terrible knowledge, forewarned apocalypse, or blissfully naive in the caves, or in the caves survive, waiting for the air to mix the vacuum, a slower death, instant winds of fire, preferable and less needing time for prayer. Nightly, guilt descends, pleasure grimace of beautiful doom, wincing as I remembered you, circled the dying star when it was life giver. All suns, infanticide, the time of cleansing, bitter rebirth, temperatures of fusion, matter now joining burning generations, spewing gold which may never arrive, omnidirectional color, heat, warming lovely shores no more, no more tanning lovely skins, pelt or leaves, evaporating towards heaven. The beautiful coming apart, my future, your past, we never to share a present, the meaninglessness of now, a now which never comes, now the wanting last. Who watches, thinks these thoughts, as our parent swallows her children, perhaps another trite old song, the common lament, echoed through the cosmos, reiterated so many times. Implosions infinite, constants still constant, nuclear dance while all spin, pirouette of creation, awareness the rarity, and now one less. One more to reach its end, rotting on the vine or venturing towards us or away, May new soil move beneath your extremities. May new seas part with your stroke. Your red pallor, vague ecliptical memories, grace mornings. Each night may be the last, when you sail our skies unhindered by destruction. After fading from my mind within weeks, guilt reduced to eulogy. Teach me to sing. Your songs vanished forever, songs of your people. We lacked the time for images of you, only now seeing the possibilities of a connection never made. If you had waited, if you had a choice, please send one final burst, archives reaching through space, collections of knowledge spilling through stars, open arms await the histories of your achievement. Receiving news of false alarm, klaxon of the mind, falters in disbelief. Still, our deaths lurk around every shining sphere, truth's relative, bending light. Your convexious view, roiling in polished glass, ripples through academies, whose secrets public cannot fathom, not held hostage, yet amplified through technicalities. Our mistake repeatable, always so sure in the churning universe. Certainties are flawed, and death will come surely as the sun may not rise. Even if not within my life, someone witness the countless deaths on every glowing horizon, the stellar sway, predetermined and beautiful. Ghastly, predictable beauty, cosmic dialectic, the creator's pendulum slants in entropy's favor, cannot truly keep time throughout infinity. Time sped up, a fireworks show for the all-seeing eye, the all-deaf ear, or one who listens, remaining silent, keeping record for the book of time's end. And all this heat dies cold and isolated when once light peppered the terrible backdrop of endless voids placed there by fluctuations. Receiving word of your imminent nova, all await the neutrino flood, signaling possible demise as you brighten before us. At one time, future colors painted our thoughts. So that's the title poem from the new book, Betelgeuse Dimming. Thank you all for bearing with me on such a long poem. It was kind of hard to stop writing about this once I started, even through the change of finding out that Betelgeuse was not going to go nova. And just so you all know, it's far enough away that if it had, the cosmic rays would not have affected us here. However, there are many stars within our vicinity that their cosmic rays would reach us, so their civilization and ours could very well be wiped out by cosmic rays, basically blow our atmospheres away, which is horrifying, but it's also the nature of the cosmos. And as stars explode and they create new and heavier elements, they become the seeds and the star stuff that our planets and ultimately life is made up of. So it's quite a beautiful cyclical process.